Sparks in a tiny angels running round in joy. Together pave the path. They can ride on and make it. Oh,
yeah. Well. Here we are again, lazies and gentlemen.
Lazy gentlemen. Please welcome.
Not ladies and genitals. Here we are today for another yet very exciting episode of Behind Sparks, Making the Record. Today's episode is not about a song in particular, but it's about how we met. It's about how we made the record. Anything goes in this episode, so let's see where this conversation takes us. I really remember some of our late night conversations about our influences, about different songs that Gordie sent to me. He said, you got to listen to this. There's even some times where we talked about singing songs in different keys and some of the techniques that I took to get to where I needed to be. And some of my warm-up songs I kept singing in the shower in the morning, like the Black Crowes and stuff like that at 10 a.m. in the morning in the shower, belting it out just to get ready to get those vocal cords ready for the rest of the day.
I pushed you pretty hard on that.
I don't even know where to start because it's a long story and it's a good one.
Well, I pushed you pretty hard on the vocals, I think.
I think so too.
For not being in the same room. I could hear, I could hear a lot of horsepower under the hood there. I thought, no, man, come on, we got to get on some open road here. Like, arrange the songs to show your vocal in the best possible way. Because, I like to look farther on down the road beyond just the recording and when you're standing in front of the mic. At some point in your career, you're going to want to stand in front of a mic in front of a lot of people and sing it out loud.
True enough.
With a Telecaster over your shoulder and kicking your boots in the air. So I try to look down the road at that scenario and think, what are we going to wish we did? A year and a half from now, you're going to wish this was in a higher key where you could kick out the jams a little harder. You're going to want a nice solo section to play some guitar. You're going to want those big concert kind of intros. So that's a nice thing to think about when making a record. So we really built a lot of that stuff in. I think every song on the record really comes into its own when you're playing it live.
I think so too. And I mean, some of those reflections, when they happen, when you're by yourself in a basement and you're trying to record things, or you've just come up with an idea, you tend to want to sit on the couch and make it feel good. And what feels good there doesn't really feel the same on a stage.
That's
as
true.
You just said. And I can't thank you enough for having brought that part out of me again, because I mean, we started doing the record, we were halfway into the pandemic, and I had kind of forgotten about certain elements that really turn my crank and that light my fire. And I mean, man, now that I've had the chance to play a couple of shows with these tunes, I mean, we're just starting now. Things are opening back up. Man, every time I finish the show or the set, it just feels so good, and it feels right. It feels like it's 100% what should be happening. And that's one of the things. I mean, you're a great musician, you're a great songwriter. There's several elements that I'm super proud about having worked with you on this record. But if there was one thing in particular, it was, I would have to say it would be how you encouraged me to be the best that I can be. And not only musically or even just singing, it was everything. Lyrically, musically, as a person, you even inspire me. I mean, like, if we don't even talk about the record for a minute, you've sent me some books that I should go buy. You've sent me some reggae documentaries. I mean, man, when I see your number show up on my phone, it makes me laugh, it makes me smile, and it enhances my life. So I don't know how to put that to you. if those things are in place with a person, I mean, I don't know what's gonna make it any more like the right thing that should be happening in this time in my life. So I mean that's
well. Listen,
that's
man, it's
beyond the music.
It's hard for me to. Well, not hard. It's impossible. I don't make records because I have to. You know, to produce something for somebody else, I could put that time into my own thing. You know, I could be spending my time I have lots of nice things to do in music. So if I'm going to start making a record for somebody, with somebody, there's got to be an actual real connection there. There's got to be something to really grab a hold of. You share a lot of intimacy when you make a record. Yeah. Two guys not even in the same room, but still, I got to know what you actually mean when you're singing these lyrics. And if I'm going to write lyrics for you to sing, I also have to know if you can embody those, and if those, can I see those actually coming out of your mouth. The better I know you, the easier it is to set you up for success as a producer, as an engineer, as a, you know, however I'm guiding you through the thing. I don't need you to be like me. I need you to be the most like you that you can be, you know, as a producer. So getting to know you sure didn't take very long. I feel like in the first conversation we were like, oh, I didn't know that about you. That's cool. You like that record? Okay, well now we have a common ground to build on.
Common ground. And like what's the first thing that comes to mind when you talk about that connection? Like, I know what my first impression was, my first connection when that happened, but what would it be for you?
What was the first song we worked on? Do you remember? I do.
That we recorded or worked on?
That we recorded. That was sort of the getting to know you. Is this going to work? Sacrifice Fly.
Yes, Sacrifice Fly. It had, and man, I remember some of the elements that I could hear coming through the speakers when you sent me some of the bed tracks. I was with my dad in the basement, and my mom was there too, and I think Sabrina, my girlfriend, was there too. I remember we sat. When did, like, in the middle of like the holidays or something, like around Christmas time or something, at Sacrifice Fly, I saw it show up in my Gmail, and I go, okay, this is it. Let's go down to the studio. And I pressed play, and man, joy, happiness, energy. I wanted to get up and it felt like a mix between Alice Cooper, some early Aerosmith,
yes.
Mama Kin, mixed with some of the Southern rock and roll,
some early
honky-tonky.
Skynyrd. Believe me, I think I sang on the first take through it, because I had you singing it. You'd sent me acoustic guitar version. We worked on the lyrics a lot, but then I made a few tweaks. I thought, I just got to show the guy what I'm thinking. So I played a bunch of instruments, sang the thing to send it to you to go. Well, I listened to it in my truck a couple times with my wife, and just driving around town, listening to it over and over again, thinking, I haven't heard from Ricky yet. You know, this is going to be the one that, if he likes this, we're in business. If he doesn't like this, I don't know what I'm going to do with this guy. Like, I really hope he hears the same things, and you did, man. You hit all of the flavor marks there, like right off the bat, that first phone call. So that was a good day.
Well, it wasn't very hard. Like, you know, it's when something is right, and I believe it was right. It shouldn't be that complicated. And I feel like the way we made this record was somewhat, we just kind of let whatever the other person wanted to do its thing. And then it was like a nice ping pong game. I sent you some stuff, you sent me back some stuff, we sent it back and forth. And there was no real, like, I don't want to call it arguing, but, you know, sometimes how bands in a studio, it could get a little, no, it's not, it should be more like this, and visions. And I feel like we didn't really have to go through a lot of that stuff. And it just, for that reason, not that reason only, but for part of it, mainly just that's the reason for me how like the record sounds real and it sounds good and it feels good because you could hear we had fun making this record. And that's one thing that you brought back into it's like it's not because I don't have fun playing music, but I remembered why I started playing music, making this record with you. It reminded me of like my deep roots. It's like I feel like a kid again. And
I needed to get you off the sofa. Stop being so comfortable. I'm something about this. It needs to sound like a guy with a black Les Paul with his shirt off. That's what it needs to sound like.
Well, if you recall right, you remember I said, well, this is a little high for me, Yeah, but he said, you need to kind of pretend you're with your cowboy boots with no shirt on a stage on a hot like summer day. And I remember one morning I had my jeans, no shirt, my cowboy boots, and I sent you a screenshot of me singing some of those tunes. And I remember your reaction was just...
I didn't keep the screenshot, by the way.
That's it. I remember you said, I can't unsee this, was your only response. Oh, man. But it truly happened. It did happen, man. And it's real. And our passion for guitars also was a big part of our conversations and our daily FaceTime calls. I haven't really had a chance to ask you all that much, like, because you played drums, you played bass, you played some guitars on there. I mean, I know what the parts are, but I never really all that much got to see the setup and I remember you used several basses, but as far as like the stuff, you mind talking to us about that?
Yeah, sure.
And the reason behind choosing those instruments too, I think is really interesting because that part you had mentioned to me, and I thought that was like really on point too.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the, my go-to instruments around here. Luckily, I have a lot to choose from, so I did. I sort of put together a little collection of, I'm going to use this bass. I had a 76 or 7 Antigua P bass, Fender P bass, that shows up on the record a lot. There's a 76 Music Man bass that we used on the record as well. A Strat and a Tele, I really kept it. I didn't grab a different guitar for every song. I wanted it to sound like one record, And those old records that we love and listen to, it's not like guys in those days didn't bring 50 guitars to the studio. They brought their Les Paul and made their record. You listen to those old Allman Brothers records. Dickie had a guitar and Dwayne had a guitar, and that they played their guitars, and that was it. It wasn't like but this has to be this specific guitar for this specific song. So it was fun to imagine the personality in the tonality of the band. Same with the drum kit. I've got a mid-70s Ludwig Vistalite, the clear acrylic drums in my drum room set up, and even just the way we mic'd them up and the tonal palette that we used really harkens back to another era. The records that we both know and love. I feel no shame in just making records that sound like the records I like. I'm not really worried about what's current or what's popular or any of that. I love rock and roll records, and I love to make rock and roll records. So.
Yeah, man, I love making rock and roll records too, and I think we made a really great one, if I may be bold enough to say that about ourselves. But I truly believe that it's. I remember you saying in one of our first conversations that you wanted to make a record that I'm going to be proud of in 20 years. And you kind of hit the nail on the head when you said you don't really care about what's current and what's popular, because that changes.
Yeah.
And it's not timeless. And I thought that line, when you said that to me, I said in my head, I went, you know what? That really makes me feel good. It resonates with me. I I want to do that. I want to have a record that I'm gonna go, you know what? I don't care where we're at in the world right now and what's popular. And like, if I'm gonna put the needle, drop the needle on this record, in 5 years, in 10 years, in 50 years, I'm gonna remember the fun and the passion and the reason behind making this record. and that, I think we really did a great job at doing that.
Yeah, and you'll still be able to hear it.
Oh yeah,
You know,
exactly. For
20
sure.
years from now, you'll still hear that, I think.
Oh man, well, it was a lot of fun making this record, and I remember we tried several guitars. Remember, I don't have some of those guitars with me right now, but I do have a thing for Telecasters lately, and I've been a Les Paul guy for quite a while, and since a few years, well, just prior to making this record, I was in Nashville for quite some time, and I don't know, I got a fixation on Telecasters. I was never a Tele guy, and we used the 72 blonde Telecaster that my friend Martin Deschamps lent me. Remember when I was at his place and I showed you the video? I said, well, let's pick our colors. So I remember I'd picked up that guitar. I had my 60 Junior with the P90, which we ended up not really using on the record. We did use an Explorer, a 76 Explorer, which you're a big fan of, obviously.
Yeah, that sounded great too, that one.
We used that on the on Be Who You Be, I believe. And I think that was pretty much those two guitars we used on the we ended up trying some different stuff with other guitars, but I think those are the two main ones, if I remember correctly.
What about that wasn't there a Sunburst Telecaster somebody laid on you?
Yes, the Tele Custom.
Yeah.
Good friend of mine, Alex DC, lent me some guitars to try out, and that was a very strange tone, but a very cool one. I don't really. I think that one was on See You Again. Could it See You Again? One other thing that I was really happy that you liked as much as I did: 12-string guitars. I've been trying to put 12-string guitars on several other people's albums for years. I've been talking about my love for 12-string guitars, and no one seems to really understand why and want to even have that sound on there. Don't ask me why, because it really turns my crank. So I wound up playing on an old 70s area acoustic.
Oh, I never even knew what it was exactly.
I don't think I even showed that guitar to you.
Yeah, the 12s are great, man.
Yeah, well, I don't know. Can you see the screen right now?
Nope. Pretend I can.
So you can't see me?
Nope.
Okay. Well, I have it here. I'll take a picture and I'll send it to you. 70s area. And the other thing that happened after this... Oh, man, I wish I had it in my hands right now because I wanted to talk about this on the podcast. But after making this record, I realized that a big part of the sound was 12-string guitars. So, as you know, because I've showed you this when I got the guitar, I wound up getting that non-reverse Firebird 12-string, the 66.
Deadly.
Yeah, love for guitar. I mean, we could talk about guitars for years, and we wouldn't be done. But dude, I wanted to say thank you for being a part of this record and being a part of a little piece of my life, because it's making a record, you know how special that is for somebody. I hadn't made a record for myself since I was quite young. I mean, it's the first in 15 years, so it was a little stressful. I needed someone and a partner to do this with, just because I had done so many different things. I needed to rediscover myself, and I think, like I said at the beginning of this interview and this podcast, that's the one thing I will always remember. You were like the best mirror possible. I was I could see myself through you, and you were just sending it right back, saying, no, this is what you are. And you weren't imposing it on me. You were just you were just telling me what was there. I mean, you were seeing it, and as funny as that may sound, that's truly the way I feel. So
yeah, man. Yeah, no, that's really true, man. That really is true.
So, man, it was a pleasure and an honor doing this record together. It was a
man.
pleasure and an honor to have you on this podcast. And for those of you just listening to us right now, you could go on the YouTube channel, Ricky Paquette YouTube channel. You can actually watch this podcast with us. And hopefully you could find a couple more videos and stuff you like on there. Please like and subscribe. And follow us for the journey that's about to begin one more time. Thank you again, Gordie.
All right, baby.
Thanks for tuning in for Behind Sparks. And we'll see you guys soon, hopefully somewhere where you are. Somewhere in the world. And that's it.
Woohoo!
Woohoo!
Out the door, and now we're
Drinking beer and driving around. But we can't take the truck, can't take the car because we drinking beer and driving around. Yeah. And I'm 15 miles an hour.
If you like what you've heard and you want to hear more, head on over to your favorite digital platform and stream my new album, Sparks. Thanks for tuning in, and I hope I get to rock on a stage near you very soon, wherever you are.